It was supposed to be a routine landing. Clear skies, a private jet, a quiet North Carolina airport. Then everything went wrong. Within seconds, a luxury aircraft slammed into the ground, leaving behind burning wreckage, unanswered questions, and a mystery investigators are now racing to solve. How does a private jet, designed for comfort, safety, and precision, end in disaster just moments from the runway? Tonight, we're breaking down what really happened, the critical clues investigators are uncovering, and the chilling details that could change how we understand this crash. Because this wasn't just an accident, and what they're finding may surprise you. What investigators found at the crash site immediately raised red flags. The private jet went down just miles from the runway, close enough that air traffic controllers believe the aircraft was moments away from landing safely. Instead, the jet descended at an abnormal angle, striking the ground with tremendous force. Debris scattered across the field, fuel ignited on impact, and first responders arrived at a scene that made one thing painfully clear. Something catastrophic happened in the final seconds of flight. This wasn't a mid-air explosion. This wasn't a weather-driven disaster. Early conditions were reported as stable, with no severe storms, no heavy winds, and no immediate signs that Mother Nature was to blame. That fact alone shifted the focus of the investigation almost instantly. From the skies to the cockpit, the aircraft flight path is now under intense scrutiny. Radar data shows the jet began losing altitude faster than expected during its approach. Investigators are analyzing whether the descent was intentional, a response to an onboard emergency, or the result of sudden system failure. One key question dominates every briefing. Did the pilots know they were in trouble, and if so, how much time did they have to react? Because time matters. In aviation investigations, seconds can separate a controlled emergency landing from total disaster. Investigators are carefully reconstructing the jet's final moments using radar records, air traffic control communications, and the aircraft's onboard data systems. Even small anomalies, an unexpected speed change, a delayed response, a missed checklist, can point to a much larger chain of events. And then there's the aircraft itself. Private jets are subject to strict maintenance requirements, but unlike commercial airliners, their upkeep depends heavily on individual operators and private maintenance schedules. Investigators are now reviewing the jet's service history, recent repairs, and inspection records. Was there a mechanical issue that went undetected? A component nearing the end of its lifespan? Or a failure that occurred so suddenly there was no chance to recover? Wreckage patterns may hold the answers. By examining how parts of the aircraft separated, or didn't, experts can determine whether the jet broke apart before impact or remained intact until it hit the ground. Engines, control surfaces, and avionics systems are being examined piece by piece. Every scrape, fracture, and burn mark tells a story. But the most critical evidence may still be unheard. The cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder, often referred to as the black boxes, are now central to the investigation. These devices can reveal exactly what the pilots were experiencing: warning alarms, system failures, conversations, and decisions made under extreme pressure. Investigators aren't just listening for panic. They're listening for clarity, for clues that explain why a routine landing turned fatal. And there's another layer to this story. Who was on board and why? Private jet flights often involve high-profile passengers, confidential travel plans, and tight schedules. While investigators stress that passenger identity does not change the technical investigation, it does raise public attention and urgency. Every crash involving a private aircraft sparks a larger conversation about safety standards, oversight, and whether luxury aviation carries hidden risks the public rarely sees. Aviation experts emphasize this point. Private jets are not inherently unsafe. In fact, many are equipped with advanced technology. But safety ultimately depends on a complex balance: pilot training, maintenance discipline, operational decisions, and real-time judgment under pressure. When one link in that chain breaks, consequences can be irreversible. As the investigation continues, authorities are urging patience. Aviation crash investigations are methodical by design. Rushing to conclusions can obscure the truth. It can take weeks or even months for a full picture to emerge. But already, investigators believe this crash was not the result of a single failure, but a sequence of events that aligned in the worst possible way. And that's what makes this case so unsettling. Because disasters like this don't start at the moment of impact. They begin earlier, sometimes long before takeoff, with overlooked warnings, split-second decisions, or systems pushed just beyond their limits. What happened near that North Carolina airport is now more than a crash. It's a case study, a cautionary tale, and a reminder of how fragile the margin for error can be, even in the most advanced aircraft. As investigators dig deeper, new findings could reshape what we know, not just about this flight, but about private aviation safety as a whole. And when the final report is released, it may answer the question everyone is asking. How did a flight that was almost over end before it ever reached a runway? Behind every piece of wreckage is a moment frozen in time, a final decision, a final hope, a final belief that the runway was just seconds away. Those lives didn't end in the air. They ended in unanswered questions. And until those questions are answered, this story isn't over. It's waiting to be understood.